across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good afternoon. The weekend doesn't quite start here. It starts after this show. So, good afternoon and welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be your host for 3 electric hours of news, views and topical debate. Get on the show, get it off your chest. Get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. It is Friday, July the 24th. Here's what's coming up. King Andy flew to Glasgow on the prime ministerial plane for the opening of the Commonwealth Games, then jetted down to Manchester for the first exciting day of number 10 North. Cost of Air Burnham's Manchester-loving self-indulgence on this jaunt, around £20,000. Every time he goes up, he's going to do it once a week. He's going to do it on a Friday. If he goes on the prime ministerial jet, that's going to cost each way between £10,000 and £18,000. So if he flies up there and then flies back, you're talking about £20,000, £25,000, maybe £30,000 every Friday, every weekend. But at least he gets to spend the weekend at home. That's great, isn't it? As I say, the cost of this jaunt, £20,000. Meanwhile, an army of civil servants and political advisers had to up stumps from Westminster and schlep all the way up to Andy's shiny new HQ, again at considerable cost. And as we speak, Whitehall staff are being offered generous relocation packages so they can live near to the Burnham Vanity project that he plans to visit once a week with a £10,000 journey on the Prime Minister's plane. The unnecessary madness of this astronomically expensive nonsense is off the scale. Apart from allowing Andy to plunge deeper into the abyss of his fatuous northern obsession and spend the weekend at home every weekend, what in the name of God will number 10 North achieve? Seriously, what do you think it is going to achieve? Let me know, because I haven't got the faintest idea. Oh, the government can filter down to Birmingham. What does that mean? He's talking absolute nonsense. This is ridiculous. This is fatuous, virtue signalling nonsense. Let me know what you think. What will number 10 North achieve? Because damned if I know. 0344 499 1000. In other news, the families grieving for the slaughtered victims of Axel Rudakubana have let it be known that they are furious that the monster who brutally murdered 3 little girls has been moved from hardcore Belmarsh prison, where he spent a lot of time in solitary confinement, and in fact, in my view, should spend the rest of his life in solitary confinement. But he's been moved from hardcore Belmarsh for a comparatively cushy life at the Broadmoor Secure Psychiatric Hospital. Shades of Nottingham killer Valdo Calaconi, who was also spared jail to serve his sentence in hospital. If Rudakubana was judged not to be mentally ill when he stood trial, why the sudden change? 0344 499 1000. Also on today's action-packed show, peak woke insanity as the Welsh Government spends a fortune on fire service diversity, but nothing on helicopters that might help put out the wildfires currently raging through the country, obsessing on making firefighters less male, stale and pale, rather than the ability to put out fires. Utter madness. That's what the woke mind virus does to people. It makes them take leave of their senses. 0344 499 1000. Plus, another Middle Eastern migrant gets to stay in Britain despite raping a 14-year-old girl. The strange case of Natalie Fleet, the Labour MP who tweeted that she was sick of Reform UK's faux outrage over the murder of Anne Widdecombe before apologising and deleting that tweet, and 1 week later quit as safeguarding minister. Well, we're trying to find out what that's all about. And finally, the BBC's desperate bid to prove that Donald Trump really did call for violent insurrection after he lost the 2020 presidential election to sleepy Joe Biden. Good luck with that. Oh, all that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Friday afternoon together. Now, Andy, King Andy, Air Miles Andy, as we'll now call him, as I say, hopped onto that perk that Prime Ministers get. They used to call it, because Tony Blair innovated the prime ministerial jet. By the way, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think, you know, our leader, our national leader, should have a jet to fly around the world in. Maybe not to Manchester, but there you are. But Tony Blair got it going. They used to call it Blair Force One. So Andy Burnham, Air Miles Andy, has used the prime ministerial jet to fly to Glasgow. I think the cost of that, 15 grand, something like that. Then he's flown back to Manchester. So I think he's spent £25,000, something like that, on the prime ministerial jet via Glasgow to get to the grand opening of number 10 North. And he's very excited about this. I think he's probably alone in being excited about this. It's almost as unexciting as his devolution programme, More Mayors for All, an issue that no one could give a damn about. Anyway, he arrived at number 10 North, and here he is speaking to the slightly bemused staff there.
I cannot tell you what a proud moment this is. I think this might be the best day of my life. I'm not joking either. I know you think I am, but I'm not. Things are just completely coming full circle here for me. And to be here with you all in the heart of Manchester this Friday morning at the end of, you know, a fairly big week is just everything to me.
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? Well, he also, because I'm damned if I know, he took the trouble to try to explain what number 10 North is all about.
Opportunity has not been evenly spread around the country, and not all places have felt that they're part of the national story. And that is what this government is going to work every single day to change. And that is what number 10 North is all about, putting power in every postcode so that people can turn things around for themselves and make changes, just as this great city has done and the other English cities are doing through devolution. It's also about getting the whole country facing the same way and then pulling in the same direction.
What on earth is he talking? It's absolute gobbledygook, isn't it? Absolute nonsense. Devolution, power in every postcode. I mean, I don't particularly want power in my postcode. He said he's going to grow every postcode, as if we're all like desperate to live in bigger postcodes or something. I don't know what on earth he's talking about. Tell you what I'd like you to do, Andy, if you're listening. I know you're a big fan of the show. I'd like you to solve the migrant crisis, stop the small boats coming over. I don't give a damn about mayors in every postcode. No one does. In actual fact, if you look at the list of priorities revealed by polls of the people of Britain, right at the top, number one issue they want sorted out, number one issue that concerns them, the migrant crisis. Then you've got cost of living, the economy, net zero, energy bills, all of that sort of stuff. Get working on that, Andy. These are the priorities. Do you know what comes absolutely last in the list of priorities of the people of this country, as revealed by polls? Devolution. He is barking up a tree that none of us care about. And the other thing about devolution, this kind of devolution on steroids, which is what he wants, he's turbocharging devolution. We've already done it with disastrous results to Scotland, to Wales, to Northern Ireland, to the big cities, you know, his city, of course, Manchester, not quite the success story he tries to pretend. And, of course, Liverpool, Newcastle, Birmingham, and so on and so forth. Look at Birmingham, absolute basket case. So he wants to make more and more devolved governments, if you like, rule increasingly small areas. So his plan will turn this country into an ungovernable mosaic of chaos. It really will. Why does he keep going on about this? People don't care about it. You know, it doesn't work. I think central government should be able to make decisions without, you know, people in towns and villages being able to turn around and say, no, we're not doing that because we've got our own government. You know, what is he doing? Why do these people do this? People like Burnham, you know, his whole life, I want to be Prime Minister, I want to be Prime Minister. You know, that's his ambition, his big ambition. His whole purpose in life was to have the power of being the Prime Minister of Great Britain. And as soon as he gets the gig, they all do this. He announces, I want to give all the power away. I want to give it to, you know, villages and towns and postcodes and countries and cities. You know, I don't want any power. I want to give it to everyone else. What's the point of being Prime Minister then? It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Let's take a quick call, shall we? Let's talk to Barry in Norwich. Hello, Barry.
Good afternoon, Kev. How are you?
I'm all right. Are you excited about number 10 North, or do you think maybe, just maybe, as we learned today, that another hundreds more migrants crossed the channel illegally this week? A huge, small boat, massive boat, turned up yesterday, the biggest of all time, with hundreds of people on it. Rather than promising us mayors in every postcode that no one could give a rat's backside about, why doesn't he tackle the migrant crisis? I'll tell you what, Barry, how about this? Why doesn't he even mention it? He's never mentioned it once. It's the #1 issue that concerns the people of Britain. This guy doesn't mention it. That's a disgrace, isn't it?
Well, this is the thing. You know, I want him to sort out this illegal immigration. They're coming across now on cruise lines, aren't they? Yeah, right. I want him to sort out youth unemployment. I want him to sort the roads out, the potholes, the infrastructure of the country. I want him to sort out doctors so we can get to see a doctor, so we can get to see a nurse, a dentist. I don't care about number 10 North or East or West or South or whatever. Yeah, right. Not interested in all that. I want someone, but he's not going to address it, is he? He's not been scrutinised by people like yourselves on Talk. He's not been in front of MPs. He's not been. There's no Prime Minister's questions. There's nothing there. He's basically been selected and elected by a small minority of the country of Makerfield, and just deposited in number 10 without any democratic mandate.
So, yeah, absolutely right. I mean, he's there without a mandate, the Messiah without a mandate, and he's just sort of standing there spewing all of these policies that he's obsessed with that we're not interested in. Nobody could give a damn whether or not number 10 is in Downing Street or Manchester. It should be, of course, Barry, in the capital city. You know, all countries have their governments in the capital city. Why doesn't he want to do the same? It's costing a fortune as well. Barry, I think we're in the hands of a parochial madman, to be honest with you. But listen, mate, I've got to move on, but thanks, good call. That's Barry in Norwich. Stephen Barrett is now with us, barrister and commentator. Welcome, Stephen. Are you there?
I'm here, and I'm delighted to be here.
Good to have you, man. Well, listen, we've just been discussing number 10 North, and he's open for business now. Very swish offices, must have cost a few quid. Last night he flew to Glasgow on the Prime Ministerial jet. Then he flew to Manchester on the Prime Ministerial jet. The cost of those little journeys alone would have been around about £20,000–25,000. He's going to do this every Friday, he says. The prime ministerial jet to fly from London to Manchester costs around between £10,000 and £18,000. He's going to do this every Friday, then he's going to fly back. So it's good. He gets to spend the weekend at home, so that's nice. Meanwhile, civil servants are being offered in London, are being offered generous relocation packages, not to mention the cost of the office themselves. And every time he goes up there, an army of security people and SPADs, political advisors, also have to schlep up to Manchester. For what? What's it for? Can you tell me, Stephen, what on earth number 10 North is supposed to be for?
No, because no one can, Kev. Absolutely no one can. This is complete just gesture nonsense. I had a bit of a spat online with somebody who was like, surely the Constitution would block this. And I think we have to understand that our Constitution is actually, it's an evolved Constitution. It's 800 years old. It's remarkably grown up in how it looks at things. And our Constitution basically goes, well, you can do this if you want to. I mean, you'll look like a massive, insert your domestic Anglo-Saxon word but for doing it. But of course, you can do this if you want to. Why has he done this? And that's the fundamental question. Why? What are you achieving? What is this for? And by the way, we have the IPA, at least in one pub in Pimlico, I can take you to, Kev, to show you that very IPA. So it's not even for the beer. Why has he gone north? What? And it's not even that far north. I mean, real northerners are getting seriously irritated at it.
That's right. You're right. Some people call Manchester the South. It's a very good point. It's just incoherent. It is nonsense. He keeps talking about, he just made a speech to the rather bemused staff in these swish new offices saying, I'm going to bring power to every postcode. And he talked about power filtering down to places like Birmingham. What on earth is he droning on about? It's incredibly expensive. And I would suggest utterly, utterly pointless. And by the way, all serious countries operate their governments from their capital cities. End of. So why is Andy so averse to that logical system? Your government is in your capital city. What's wrong with him?
Well, he's a communist, Kev, so we should just be we should actually be glad that he's just dragged a load of pointless waste of money. By the way, your listeners and viewers just need to know that it's their money he's burning.
Yeah, exactly.
And they do need to get angry about that, because there is no need for this money to have been metaphorically upper-walled. But most communists go even further than this. And if he goes full-on communist, he'll probably start to build Burnham City, and he'll drag everybody out to a completely pointless location, which will be a purpose-built capital city to honour him. I mean, how far are we going? Are we going Tajikistan levels of bonkers?
Yeah.
Is there going to be an 80-foot
maybe you could call it
Andy?
You could call it Burnham, or is that too like Birmingham? Listen, just before we go to break, I know you're going to stay with us across the break, Stephen. Let's just talk about some of his announcements so far, none of which are costed. I'm doing this from memory, so let's see if I got it right. £340 million to end rough sleeping. It won't end rough sleeping. £450 million to put a £2 cap on bus fares, £850 million to take the VAT off energy bills so we can all save a cool 86p a week, big deal. £100 million for his pub hospitality tax break system. I mean, I'm in favour of that in principle, but where's he going to get the £100 million from? And he's pledged an £800 million a year programme to build... he's pledged to build billions of pounds worth, £50 billion worth of council houses, and there's already apparently an £800 million a year black hole in the funding for that. He hasn't funded any of this. So we're talking there, if you add all that up, he has pledged, since Monday, since he came in, he's pledged more than £2 billion worth of new policy initiatives, none of which It's funded. He believes, like all Labour politicians, he believes in the magic money tree. He's going to collide with reality pretty bloody soon, isn't he?
He is, but this is just communism, and this is how communism works. And we need your listeners and viewers, Kev.
He's a Marxist, you're right, he's a Marxist.
Yeah, that state interference in markets doesn't work. The only thing that makes anything cheaper is the free market. We need capitalism back. We need to stop all of this regulation. We need to stop and look at them. Your listeners, well, your viewers can see them. Look at them. Those are pathetic individuals. Not one of them is impressive on any level. There's not one of them I'd want to go to the pub with. I certainly wouldn't want to have a chat with. That one's John Healey. He spends a large portion of his time, Kev, glaring at me whenever I'm in Westminster. I don't know why, but Sod's Law says we bump into each other all the bloody time. These people are not impressive. They cannot run the economy. The economy must be set free from these people. These people are making things expensive for you.
Yeah, they really, really are. Listen, let's go to break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that animal, Axel Rudakubana. Shocking news. I think he's been moved from the hardcore Belmarsh prison, which is what he deserves, where he spends a lot of the time in solitary confinement. In my view, he should stay there for the rest of his miserable life, but he's been moved to the relatively cushy Broadmoor psychiatric hospital. Isn't that special? The grieving relatives and families of those poor little girls he killed in Southport are furious. We will talk about that next. Stay tuned.
The Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with barrister and commentator Stephen Barrett. Stephen, let's talk about, if we must, Axel Rudakubana, the Southport monster who murdered those poor little girls in the dance class. He has been moved from hardcore Belmarsh prison, where he spent a lot of time in solitary confinement, where at one point he attacked prison officers with boiling water. he's now been moved to the Broadmoor Secure Psychiatric Hospital. That is relatively cushy. All the hardcore crooks in jail, if they can get to Broadmoor, if they've got life, they want to get to Broadmoor. He has achieved that. Lawyers for the families, the furious, still heartbroken, of course, families of the Southpaw victims, say that he's playing the system for an easy life. So too does a guy called Mark Fairhurst. He's the chief of the POA union, which represents prison, correctional and secure psychiatric workers. He said that his members believe that Rudakubana has just been angling for a more comfortable existence. Mr. Fairhurst said he is not mentally unwell, he is playing the system and is nothing more than evil. He should spend his entire sentence in solitary confinement, staring at four walls. Hear, hear. Shades of Valdo Calicone, the Nottingham killer, who proceeded directly from his non-trial to a nice cushy psychiatric hospital. Rudakubana's 19 years old. He's just pulled a fast one, and the families are absolutely furious about this. Why have we done this?
Well, Kev, I think we've lost our way, really. So I think we need the death penalty for people like Axel Rudakubana. I really do.
I agree.
And I don't think that that is as a deterrent. I think it's because we just can't, there are some people who we just can't continue to live with. They can't continue to live among us. That there is nothing that is good that is going to come of them. And I feel very bad saying that as a Christian. And for very, very many years, I opposed this. I genuinely oppose the state having the power to kill anybody. So I'm very against euthanasia on that basis. But this individual is just toxic. He's just how are we supposed to deal with him? And the state is already caving in and now treating him with.
So, well, if nothing else, Stephen, you know, you're right. I mean, I think we ought to think about people like him. You know, we would have been spending, if he was in Belmarsh, between £60,000 and £100,000 a year. That's what the average prisoner in a high-security jail costs. Now he's being moved to Broadmoor. The cost will be between £300,000 and £370,000 a year. So it's going to cost us millions and millions of pounds to keep this guy in relative comfort at Broadmoor Hospital, which some prisoners say, compared to normal jails, is like a holiday camp. Look, my view is put him in a solitary confinement cell in Belmarsh, lock him up and throw away the key. We're just being nice to him. We're being nice to this guy. Why?
Because we're taken for mugs, because we're too wet and we're too pathetic. There was this guy, Frank Pakenham, and he genuinely believed in Myra Hindley, who, by the way, is another monster who we probably should have also just put to death. It would be easier in the long run if this is what we do. But Frank Pakenham, the Earl of Longford.
Oh, I mean, Lord Longford, yeah.
terribly sweet man, sure. But he was just she ran rings around him for years. She lied through her absolute teeth to him. He was convinced she was going to tell him where the bodies were buried, which she never bloody did, because she's evil. Some people in our society are just evil, and we have to deal with this, and the left refuse to admit it, and then they go all psychopathic at those of us who notice and try and pretend we're the problem. We're not the problem are the evil people, and I'm afraid Axel Rudakubana is one of the most evil people I've experienced or we've known about in my lifetime.
And here's the thing, right, this is right up your street, this question, all right. So you know, when somebody commits a crime, a heinous, almost inexplicable crime like Axel Rudakubana, before they stand trial, they have to be psychiatrically assessed to see whether or not they are mentally stable enough, if you like, to stand trial. He passed that test, apparently with flying colours. With flying colours, yeah. You knew exactly what you were doing. You are within. You're in control of your own faculties. Yes, you stand trial. Here we are. What is it? A couple of years later, suddenly a psychiatrist says, "Oh no, no, no! He's mentally ill. We've got to move into Broadmoor." Rubbish. Rubbish.
It is rubbish.
What we've done is we've made life much easier for this monster. We've given him exactly what he wants. We've given him a relatively nice life for the rest of his miserable existence. This is an outrage. We've got to punish these kind of people, not be kind to them.
Well, we didn't do this, Kev. Some random psychiatrist, and we should be able to, in a functioning society, we would be able to find their name and they would be accountable for this. Some random psychiatrist has done this because, do you remember the sentencing? Mr. Justice Goose, who I have huge amounts of respect for, indeed I wish all judges would be more goose, but Mr. Justice Goose had him dragged into the box. Now, when he was in the box, he was such a self-indulgent little narcissist that he kept screaming and screaming and making himself terribly sick. So even Mr. Justice Goose went, "Fine, put him back in the cells. I'm
get rid of him." Yeah.
But at least Mr. Justice Goose dragged him there and did what was tough. And then some terribly weak psychiatrist has just given in to this narcissistic, monstrous, evil creature. And this is part of the problem we have when they say that welfare payments and PIP and extra payments for disability are spiraling. It's because people go to their GP and their GP doesn't have the moral courage to go, "You're not disabled." So the GP goes, "Yeah, okay, then you definitely are disabled," because there's no interest in them. There's what interest did this psychiatrist have in standing up for us and a decent country and saying no to this monster? Yeah. That psychiatrist just gave in. That psychiatrist was just weak. And we should know their names. We should be told who they are so that we can remove them from public sector service. They can go off and have a lovely life in the private sector, but people who have no rigor, no backbone, no bottom, no strength of character do not belong in the public sector. In fact, Kev, I'm going to go even further. I think we need to roll back the public sector 80 years to when we had a small but elite civil service who actually had some strength of character and will.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We've got to do Rudakubana, folks. He got what he wanted. He's got a nice, cushy life at Broadmoor now. Isn't that special? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the poor, grieving families of his victims. They now know that his punishment has been severely reduced. Let me know what you think about that. 03444991000. Stephen, before you go, are you still there? Is he still there?
Yep.
Can I get your thoughts on this very quickly, because we've got to move on. But I was mentioning earlier in the show, Andy Burnham, he keeps going, devolution, power in every postcode. It is a statistical fact that devolution is the issue that concerns the British people the least. It is literally bottom of their list of priorities. Top of their list of priorities, the issue that concerns them the very most, is the migrant crisis. He hasn't even mentioned it once yet. This is a disgrace. This comes on the back of the fact that yesterday 366 migrants crossed the channel illegally, and in a world record, 165 of them were in a single inappropriately named small boat. Not a small boat, a pretty damn massive boat. This is the new thing, massive boats. 165, the biggest ever single vessel for these illegal crossings of illegal migrants from France to Britain. So that's yesterday, 366. The day before, I think 175 or something came across. How dare he not mention this?
Because he's not governing. He's not governing in substance. He just thinks it's all vibes and spin and, ooh, Manchester, and hasn't he got a funny hat on? And he wears T-shirts despite being a nearly, quite old, I don't mean to be offensive, Kev, but, quite elderly man. This is highly pathetic form of governance, dragging everybody up to Manchester for absolutely no reason and not talking about the small boats. What I will say is that your listeners and viewers, in my experience, are much more savvy than the politicians think they are. And your listeners and viewers need to know that devolution genuinely just means putting public money somewhere where it's easier to steal without getting caught.
Yeah, and it makes the country ungovernable as well. So, as I said earlier, Burnham is in the process of power in every postcode. He's in the process of turning this country into an ungovernable, mad mosaic of tiny fiefdoms. It's insane, ridiculous. Insane. Furthermore, Stephen, no one cares about it except for Andy Burnham, King Andy. Stephen, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Stephen Barrett, barrister and commentator there. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, I am going to give you the doozy, a case of woke madness that will shock you. It is so insane you won't believe it. That next, stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Before we go to our next item, breaking news, emergency services are dealing with an incident on the River Thames at Westminster Bridge in central London. Responders from the lifeboat service can be seen treating casualties on a boat at Westminster Pier. A large number of police officers, fire crews and ambulances are on the scene with traffic across the bridge at a standstill. A police helicopter and air ambulance are circling above. Something has happened on a boat on the river. There seem to be hundreds, maybe thousands of people gathering on Westminster Bridge looking at whatever the hell is going on. That's all we know at this stage. We're on it. We're on the case. We're going to find out exactly what's going on there. But the fairly major incident at Westminster Bridge looks to involve a boat at Westminster Pier, which is right by the Houses of Parliament. So we'll keep you posted on whatever is going on there. We're trying to find out. Now let's move on to my next story. As I say, this is a case of what happens when the woke mind virus turns people insane. Well, let's get my guest on. He's Jamie Jenkins, statistician and political commentator. But for the purposes of this story, he's from Wales. Hi, Jamie. Now let me talk through this bizarre story. Well, first of all, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll play you. This is a Labour lady from the Senedd down there. Her name is Hannah Blythyn. This is the sort of prelude to this saga of insanity. So here she is. Take it away. Labour representative in the Senedd, Hannah Blythyn.
The firefighting workforce remains overwhelmingly male and white, with little effective progress in addressing that. In short, there are many serious long-running failures of management within the service. He met the chair of South Wales Fire and Rescue Authority and made clear to him the need for a thorough, independent review of the service. He agreed to do so, and Fenella Morris KC was subsequently appointed to lead the review by the FRA. The report was published last week on the 3rd of January, and it is, in a word, damning. To be clear, I am ruling nothing out in terms of Welsh Government support, direction or intervention in South Wales Fire and Rescue Service. We simply cannot accept this level of discrimination and mismanagement in a public organisation charged with protecting people from serious harm.
The Welsh Government, then Labour, also insisted that a woman became part of the management team. They wanted a manager, a female manager, to administer to South Wales Fire Service. Now, so there you are. What she's complaining about basically is that the Welsh Fire Service is too white, too male. What do they call it? Too pale, stale and male. And they then commissioned, Jamie, a very expensive kind of review into the diversity and how could they stop the fire service being so full of white men. Very important stuff, obviously. And now, right now, half of Wales seems to be on fire, wildfires raging through the country, and the Welsh Fire Service is unable to particularly tackle these blazes because it hasn't got any helicopters. In other words, it can't afford helicopters. So what we've got is a government that looks at its fire service and says, what we've got to do here is we've got too many white men in the fire service. We need to commission a real review of how to make the fire service less pale, less male, less stale. Let's get a woman manager in. This is what's important. Let's spend money on this. That's what they spent money on, but they didn't spend money on helicopters. And now half the country is on fire and they're talking about not being able to handle it because they haven't got any helicopters. This, Jamie, I would suggest is peak woke insanity.
Yeah, Kev, I think you've summarised it all pretty well there. And so what we've had, that was the Welsh Labour who were running the Senate. Obviously, they got booted out and not helped by Keir Starmer, obviously, in his popularity in May. And we've got Plaid Cymru running the Welsh Government now. But yeah, a couple of years ago, there was some... basically, they did this review into the Welsh Ambulance Service, and ministers of the Welsh Government took over the South Wales Fire Service. It was all to do with some allegations, I think, of sexual harassment and misogyny. But yeah, they do these reviews. They spend this money to do these reviews. But they don't seem to be considering, actually, have you got the capabilities to be putting out fires?
Yeah, exactly right, Jamie. That's what's so insane. They are prioritising diversity, DEI. Oh, we've got too many white men in the Welsh Fire Service. Let's spend a lot of money looking into that, producing reports on that, getting more women in. Let's not worry too much about the Welsh Fire Service's ability to put out fires. As I say, that's what happens when the woke mind virus infects people and turns them stark staring mad. This is insane.
Yeah, and the last time I looked there, Kev, you can't put a fire out with a diversity strategy. You can make a fire worse by chucking it on the bonfire. I think that's what they could do with some of these strategies that they're coming up with. But I live in South Wales, Kev, and I think there's some of these wildfires. I live about 40, 50 miles away, and when you go out in the garden first thing in the morning, you can smell all the smoke, and it's just absolutely blowing all over South Wales. And you're right to call this out. And that is ultimately when politicians get involved with trying to run services, they don't look at the competence of actually delivering for the public. It is all this tick box exercises in terms of the diversity. To just to have an intervention to say, oh, we need a woman involved with all of this. Okay, if there was some harassment, misogyny, have a review. But let's get the core stuff first right.
Yeah, Jamie, it's obvious, isn't it? You know, yeah, nobody in the country cares whether their firefighters are white, black, female, male, gay, straight. No one cares. What we care about with our firefighters is that they can put out fires, and they're spending money because they think they've got too many white blokes in the service, but they're not spending money on helicopters. And now they can't tackle this raging wildfire. In fact, there are wildfires all over Wales, but the worst in your area, as you say, Jamie, in the south. Let me just read out the various quotes I've got on this story. We, of course, went to the Welsh Government. The Welsh Government says it has activated crisis plans in response to the fires amid growing concern over the lack of helicopter support. A spokesman said air cover and helicopter capacity have attracted significant interest. The armed forces have no UK-based aerial firefighting capacities, but the Rudakubana fire showed the need to review available support. What they're actually saying is, looking at these fires, we need to get helicopters. That's what that has said. The government went on to say, we will now assess whether additional capabilities, including helicopters, are needed and what they could cost. A spokesman for the South West Fire Service said, our priority is protecting communities and there has been no reduction in established firefighter numbers in recent years. Helicopter support was requested for the wildfire but was unavailable, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they should have their own helicopters, and maybe if they didn't spend them investigating the horror that there were too many white men in the Welsh Fire Service, they could afford those helicopters. As I say, this is what happens when you allow wokery to spiral out of control, Jamie.
Yeah, and it's not just this one, Kev. You think of some of the money the Welsh Government, under the Labour government, and possibly under Plaid Cymru to continue. We spend money on planting trees in Uganda, the Welsh taxpayer does. God knows why we're involved in that, whilst we can't put out the trees that are being burnt down in Wales with helicopters. It's just absolute woke madness.
Absolutely, yeah.
New fire service story. And I think, Kev, you know, somebody needs to wake up, smell the coffee on this one, and then just get back to some basics. Look at operational capability. That's got to be the number one thing on this one, Kev. And we, you know, we're going to probably, the wildfires are going to be here forever, you know.
Yeah, this is certainly with the dry conditions. Yeah, they got to get to grips. I mean, the one thing I would say, in fairness to the current Welsh government, it's not Labour. So this nonsense is down to Labour. Hopefully, Plaid Cymru can sort this mess out and perhaps return to a vague semblance of common sense. Jamie. Good to have you on the show. Thank you very much. Jamie Jenkins there, statistician and political analyst. He's down there in Wales, not far from those wildfires. Yeah, I told you about the Westminster Bridge incident. It's beginning to become clear what's happened. Here we go. A police boat carrying armed officers crashed near Westminster Bridge in central London. Casualties could be seen being treated by paramedics on a black, rigid, inflatable boat. Officers have taped off a section of Westminster Bridge following an incident on the River Thames involving a police vessel. Responders from the lifeboat service could be seen treating casualties on a boat at Westminster Pier. A large number of police officers, fire crews and ambulances are on the scene, with traffic across the bridge at a standstill. A police helicopter and air ambulance were earlier circling above, but basically a police boat carrying armed officers has crashed near Westminster Bridge. So that is what that's about. Any more information we get about this, we'll bring it to you, of course. So we'll keep you up to speed with that developing story. Let's go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk to a man of the North, Andy Preston, former independent mayor of Middlesbrough, about number 10 North. See if he can explain what the hell it's for. Damned if I can. By all means, as I'm serious about this, get on the phone and tell me what you think number 10 Downing Street, what the hell it is for. 03444991000. Because Andy Burnham doesn't know. He just spews a load of gobbledygook platitudes. It's about power in every postcode, power pouring down to places like Birmingham. What does that mean? But what we do know is his vanity project, so he can have an office near his house, is costing not a small fortune, a large fortune. He's going to spend best part of £20,000-30,000 every weekend flying up there on the prime ministerial jet. Unbelievable. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
The Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, let's go over, as I said before the break, to a man of the North. Perhaps he can explain what Number 10 North is all about. He is political commentator, former independent mayor of Middlesbrough, Andy Preston. Welcome, Andy.
Hi, Kevin.
Right, OK, you heard what I said. You're from the North. I put it out to my audience. I cannot, for the life of me, work out what Number 10 Downing Street North, Number 10 North is. Or what it's for. None of my audience can, none of my guests can. When Andy tries to explain it, it's just gobbledygook. Things like, I want power in every postcode and power coming down from Manchester towards Birmingham. What is he talking about? What's it for, apart from costing one hell of a lot of unnecessary money?
Kevin, it's stupid. This is a really stupid, dumb idea. I could probably list you 10 reasons. The biggest one is, to me, is that if you're going to cite some ministers, some proper, hardcore in terms of political power, secretaries of state up there, Lucy Powell, Angela Rayner, Louise Haigh, I think is going to be up there. They're going to have to travel down to London for cabinet meetings. So what about the time that they're travelling where you can't work? Look, to be a national politician, you have to be near the national civil service. You have to be near your colleagues. You cannot do your job effectively from 200 miles away. That's the first thing. The second thing is there isn't an office there. They're going to have to create one, go to extraordinary expense. Another government might come in and quite rightly just ditch the whole project. But most importantly of all, Kevin, this is like an insult to anybody that's up in the northeast or in East Anglia or Cornwall or Birmingham.
I'll tell you, we're getting some calls, Andy, which is really funny. These are people who view Manchester as the South. People who live further north than that. They say, why do I keep calling it number 10 north? It's south to us. So, again, what this actually boils down to is Andy Burnham's bizarre obsession with Manchester.
It is.
A disproportionate obsession that I think is developing into an abrogation of his duty to the rest of the country.
Completely. It's a complete insult to the rest of the country. And what it is, he is currying favour with his home team. Basically, he was a successful cabinet member under Blair and Brown. He went for the top job. He didn't get it. He was a moderately to very successful, but he wasn't a superstar. He went to Manchester. His timing was brilliant. The city was on the up. He took over as that was already happening, and he's got all the credit. The people there do like him. Most of them like him a lot, and he wants to continue that special relationship. This is the kind of thing that Donald Trump would do, where he would say, I'm going to take a national asset that everybody owns, I'm going to put it in my favourite little city. And that's what he's done. Forgive me if I sound angry. This is an extraordinary waste of money. It's going to be counterproductive, but I predict this. It's going to be his undoing, because if a contract is now awarded to a Manchester or Northwest-based business ahead of a Midlands business or ahead of a Cornish business or a London business, everybody's going to say, aha, this is all part of Burnham's big plan. He's got this bias and favouritism towards one city, and I think it's going to be his undoing, Kevin.
Yeah, it's getting quite disturbing. It really is. And you know, I've worked out. So yesterday he flew up to Glasgow on the Prime Ministerial jet to attend the opening of the Commonwealth Games. Then he flew to Manchester on the Prime Ministerial jet, and will presumably on Monday or over the weekend at some point fly back to London on the Prime Ministerial jet. The Prime Ministerial jet, I worked out, from London to Manchester will cost somewhere between £10,000 and £18,000 a trip. So every weekend, this guy's going to plough through maybe £30,000 worth of air travel, just so he can spend one day in his Manchester HQ. Meanwhile, civil servants here in London are being offered generous relocation packages to move up to the north so they can work in Andy's vanity project. The office itself has cost a lot of money. As you say, ministers, Whitehall staff, SPADs are all going to have to regularly get on the train or whatever to get up to Manchester. The inconvenience is one thing, but the sheer cost of it is bordering on astronomical.
Kevin, it reminds me of the EU. I don't know if your viewers and listeners will remember this, but the EU, based in Brussels, as everyone knows, what they may not know is that also it used to decamp every now and then and go to Strasbourg. And that was all part of an agreement to keep the French happy. And they had to do that.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
the whole thing. Until I think they still do it to this day, once a month. The cost of that is in the billions. And that's what Burnham is doing. But he's not even sharing it out around the country. It's going to his home city. It's going to his home team. It's going to his supporters and his mates. I don't think the guy's financially corrupt. I know he isn't, in fact.
I don't think he's financially corrupt. I think he's financially illiterate.
I mean, illiterate.
For example, Andy, you know, we could run through all of his policies this week, none of which are costed. That comes to about £2 billion worth of policies he's come up with that he can't afford. But his plan, for example, to nationalise Thames Water will cost £106 billion. He hasn't thought about any of this. Listen, Andy, I've got to move on because it's nearly the news, but great to have you on the show. Really good, thank you. Andy Preston there, political commentator, former independent mayor of Middlesbrough. When we come back after the news in the studio, it will be Dr. Philip Kisley of the New Culture Forum. We're going to go through the big stories. You don't want to miss that, so stay exactly where you are. See you in a minute.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the second hour of this very eventful edition of Drive Time. Stay tuned, folks, because we've got some great stories coming up for you. But for the next 25 minutes or so, we've got a real treat. Dr. Philip Kisley from the New Culture Forum is in the studio. Hi, Philip.
Hey, Kev, it's great to be back.
Good to have you. Like the old days, you used to come in when I did the evening show every Tuesday.
Every Thursday,
Thursday, for a whole hour. Can't keep you quite that long. Drive Time waits for no man. But I've got to get your view on this. I think this is a scandal. Axel Rudakubana, the Southport monster who murdered those 3 little girls, when he stood trial, was it a couple of years ago now, he was ruled mentally able to stand trial, not mentally ill. It's very important. You have to do that with defendants. The verdict was, no, he's in full control of his faculties. He stands trial. Here we are, not so long later. Psychiatrists at Belmarsh Prison have decided he's mentally ill and must be moved to Broadmoor Psychiatric Hospital, the secure psychiatric hospital. Now, that's not quite a holiday camp, but compared with hardcore...
It's a hospital rather than a prison.
Compared with hardcore Belmarsh, he's won the lottery. He's now going to spend a relatively pleasant rest of his miserable life. So, in effect, because these be kind psychiatrists, that's what they are, let's get this straight. In effect, his punishment has been drastically reduced. We're hearing that the families, the grieving families of those poor little girls are furious. A guy called Mark Fairhurst, he's the boss of the POA union, which represents prison officers and also secure psychiatric workers. He said his members believe Rudakubana has just been angling for a more comfortable existence. Mark Fairhurst said he is not mentally unwell, he is playing the system and is nothing more than evil. He should spend his entire sentence in solitary confinement staring at 4 walls. I'd go for that in the absence of the death penalty, but his sentence has now been reduced. The poor families of those victims they're still heartbroken, but they are now furious. What are we doing?
Well, it's crazy, isn't it? I think the Mental Health Act is at the centre of this, actually. And as you say, psychiatrists who are woke, who just see perpetrators as victims, and essentially that's what he's become, isn't it? Because he once he's removed from prison and taken to a hospital, we're talking about Broadmoor Hospital here, it changes his status. Now he's a psychopath or a sociopath. They're known to lie, you know, they're known to play the system. This isn't about psychosis, which is what they're talking about here. He's not suffering from psychosis. He is a psychopath or a sociopath, and he is absolutely playing the system, and he is absolutely evil. But I think you mentioned the death penalty there, and I've been thinking about this since I read this story. I've been thinking about this quite a lot. Now, in the past, I was always absolutely against the death penalty for all of the reasons that everybody is against the death penalty, the usual stuff, right? But recently, because there is essentially an epidemic of sex crimes, an epidemic of crimes against children, this country has fundamentally changed. I have changed my view, and now for people like him, psychopaths who kill, maim, torture children, people who commit all sorts of sex crimes, I think these people should be put to death now. And that is a big thing. I think that is the kind of discussion, a broader discussion, that we should be beginning to have.
I'll tell you why, Philip. If nothing else, it's financial. It costs about 40,000 quid a year to keep the average prisoner inside. It costs, in a hardcore high-security prison like Belmarsh, it costs between 60 and 80,000. So Rudakubana was probably costing about £70,000 a year to keep incarcerated. at Broadmoor, he will cost £360,000.
Extraordinary.
£360,000 a year. He's 19 years old.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Millions and millions and millions of pounds we are going to spend giving that guy now a relatively cushy life.
Yeah, but again, I come back to this point. He is now, we have reframed him. He is a victim, isn't he? And there is a moral imperative towards the actual victims, towards those families. We should be having this conversation. I think it's incredibly important. And this, you know, well, he's a man now, isn't he? This man should not be allowed to play the system. Psychiatrists should not allow him to play the system. It is fundamentally wrong. It is fundamentally wicked. And I think they're right to actually talk in biblical terms. Essentially, is what it is. They're calling him evil, and that's precisely what he is. He is evil.
Some people are evil. He's not mentally ill. He's evil.
Yeah.
Lock him in a solitary confinement cell, throw away the key and chuck him some food every now and again. That's what he should spend the rest of his life doing. That's a punishment.
Yeah.
Broadmoor, not much of a punishment, folks, I'll tell you. Right, let's move on. Well, look, we've been talking about number 10 North. I'm sure you're very excited because you're from the North.
I'm from Manchester.
So, yeah, all your cards have come good, haven't they? Marvellous, marvellous. So, I'll run through this again. He flew up last night, old Air Miles Andy, King Andy.
Yeah.
He flew up to Glasgow on the Prime Ministerial jet, flew back down to Manchester for the first opening of number 10. So that's about 20,000 quid.
Yeah.
He's going to spend every Friday, because that's when he wants to go up there. Those Prime Ministerial jet flights from London to Manchester, the cost will be between, I looked all this up, between £10,000 and £15,000. So he's going to spend that on a Friday, presumably another £10,000, £15,000 on Sunday or Monday flying back down. Meanwhile, civil servants are being offered generous relocation packages to move up to Manchester so they could be near number 10 North. And all the SPADs, the advisors, the workers, all loads of them, ministers, having to get on the train or whatever to get up there for number 10 North. And I've been asking the question to my audience, to my guests all day, what on earth is number 10 North for? I don't know. Do you?
I don't even know what it, let alone what it's for. I don't even know what it is. It's an office, and he just doesn't want to work in London. That's essentially
on
what
Fridays.
It is. On Friday, we want to be at home on Fridays, don't we all? You know, we're here. But you know, this is. The administration will cost a fortune, but it's completely new, so they won't know what to do. You know what the public sector's like. It takes them 5 years to learn how to do something. Apologies to anybody who works in the public sector who's watching this, but it takes them 5 years to learn how to do something, and then they change it anyway. So this is gargantuan waste. This is the kind of waste. Where is all the money coming from?
Should we have a listen to Andy? This is the Prime Minister earlier today. He called it the best day of his life, the opening of this office. The office itself looks like it's cost a fair few quid. The staff look slightly bemused. But here he is explaining what this nonsense is all about, or at least attempting to explain it.
I cannot tell you what a proud moment this is. I think this might be the best day of my life. I'm not joking either. I know you think I am, but I'm not. Things are just completely coming full circle here for me, and to be here with you all in the heart of Manchester this Friday morning at the end of, you know, a fairly big week is just everything to me.
God almighty, get a life, mate. If that's the best day of your life, get a life. Here he is explaining it.
Opportunity has not been evenly spread around the country, and not all places have felt that they're part of the national story. And that is what this government is going to work every single day to change. And that is what number 10 North is all about. Putting power in every postcode so that people can turn things around for themselves and make changes, just as this great city has done and the other English cities are doing through devolution. It's also about getting the whole country facing the same way and then pulling in the same direction.
I don't know what that means. But by the way, you know, a lot of our listeners and viewers in our audience in places like Carlisle are saying, is it okay if we call it number 10 South? Because it's not north to us. It's not north. There's quite a few places that are a long way further north than Manchester, so it's not north for half the country. And as for this putting power into every postcode, first of all, it won't. Secondly, if it did, this country would become even more ungovernable than it is now.
Well, it just doesn't mean anything. You know, everybody facing the same way. It's like, you know, it's like nonsense, isn't it? You know, batting for England. It sounds like some kind of ridiculous spoof from, you know, some 1990s show or something. It really doesn't make sense. It's nonsense. And this idea that somehow all the power is in the south and none of it is in the north. Has he heard of the internet? You know, has he heard of online working?
Zoom.
It just feels as though we're going back to a cross between the 90s, the 70s, and now with all the council housing stuff, the 1950s as well. It feels like we aren't going forward. But the big thing I get from that, watching him, how he's speaking, this is about him. It's about his narcissism.
It's a fatuous vanity project.
Yeah, it's a vanity project, and he's also playing politics. He thinks that this is what people want to hear. Maybe, you know, a couple of 100,000 people do in Manchester, but literally everybody else in the country, including the millions of people in this city, think it's daft. Do you know why? Because it's daft.
Because it's daft. Let's talk about this. This has been his first week, or his first 5 days. He only waltzed into Downing Street on Monday, as I keep saying, unhindered by even a hint of democracy. Just sort of waltzed in there. I'm the leader now. What? So we've been subjected to, literally, folks, to a communist coup d'etat. This guy's a communist. Don't get any ideas otherwise. He is a virtual Marxist. That's his outlook, all right? So this week he's in the socialist way. He's been making all sorts of very attractive promises to us. Let's try and run through them.
Well, first of all, you called him the Messiah without a mandate, didn't you?
Yeah, Messiah without a mandate has this week promised us, I'm doing this from the top of my head, £850 million it's going to cost him to take VAT off our energy bills. So that'll save all of us. I'm so excited about this. 86p a week. God, the stuff I can do with that. You know, half a bus fare.
It's almost the Wetherspoons,
By the way, all this prime ministerial jet, no £2 bus fares for Andy, eh? Anyway, so 850 million is going to cost him to take VAT off energy bills. That's not costed. The £2 bus fare cap, £450 million. The pledge to give tax breaks to pubs and the hospitality industry, £100 million. His council house building programme would cost £50 billion. There's already an £800 million a year funding black hole in that. In other words, he has made this week considerably over £2 billion worth of policy pledges for which he does not have a penny. He cannot fund these. He actually gave an interview in the middle of the week when somebody said, well, can you afford all these policies? Well, he said, he was asked, in what way will you be a different Prime Minister? He said, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. And they said, well, all of these policies you keep announcing. He said, they're all funded. Ah, there you are, not being honest. They're not funded. You can't keep saying this. This is fantasy politics.
Well, it is fantasy politics, and what will happen is he'll quietly forget about them. He's talking about subsidising, as you said before, the pub sector.
We won't be forgetting it.
We won't be forgetting it, but they'll try and just memory hole it, and he'll just carry on as normal. But, you know, he's trying to... he's saying he's going to subsidise the pub sector and venues and the creative industries and all of that kind of thing. It just isn't going to happen, because what you need to do is you need to look at the whole sector and you need to reimagine it, because it's on its knees. You can't can't just tax and spend. And it's like everything else, Kev. If you just tax and spend, there comes a point when you can't do it anymore, and then it's back to the same old loop of catastrophe, and then we need another right-wing government in to set it straight, and we just go back. It's Groundhog Day over and over again, as it always is with these socialists.
Yeah, but that's if he gets to do it. The point, he hasn't got the money to do it.
He hasn't got any money to do it.
So even if he did do it, it probably would not work out. I mean, his wealth tax, etc., that's a bad idea. It doesn't work. But he just hasn't got the money for these.
I suppose, sorry, just very quickly, I suppose the point I'm making is that things are broken, sectors are broken, and even if he does throw money at it, you're just throwing money at something that's broken that isn't going to mend on itself. You need to have innovation. You need to think about things. You need to actually put care in, rather than just saying stupid things. I'm going to spend $1 billion here, $1 billion there, because frankly, of course, he isn't going to do that.
Let me quickly talk about Gary Lineker. You know, him and his virtue signalling millionaire mates, moronic millionaire mates, if you ask me, shouting from the rooftops, please, we'll pay more tax. Yeah, first of all, why did they have to shout it? There's a portal in the government website. If you want to volunteer to pay tax,
as much as you want.
So they could have all quietly did it, but they didn't. Well, there's a guy, I want to pay more tax. We want to pay more tax. Why do you think it was then, back in 2023, that he finally won a long battle against HMRC? He won an appeal against £4.9 million of tax that he'd been charged, because he said he didn't owe that because he was wrongly charged because he had more than one source of income. So he battled with the tax people, the tax man, the HMRC, and managed to win himself back £4.9 million. So back then in 2023, he wasn't that interested in paying more tax. In fact, he was obsessed with paying considerably less tax. Not particularly consistent, Mr. Lineker, is he?
No, clawing back every single penny he could possibly claim. I wonder if it's anything to do with politics. I wonder if it's anything to do with who was in the government then and who is in the government now. I mean, he could just, as you say, he could pay as much tax as he wanted, as he wants. He could also give to any kind of charity that he wants. If you want to give money away, you can give money away. You can be a donor to anything. What you shouldn't do is scream from the rooftops, because immediately when you scream from the rooftops, people become suspicious and people think, quite rightly, that it's all about politics and you're an absolute charlatan and really you're just imposing yourself and it's about power.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an important story. Last story for you, Philip. Burnham has at least done one good thing. He has allowed America to continue using British airbase to launch bombing strikes on Iran. The Iranian Republican Guard Corps, the IRGC, has announced that in view of that, that makes RAF Fairford, where all the American jets are taking off from, the bombers are taking off from, a legitimate wartime target. So they're threatening to attack British air bases, particularly RAF Fairford down in the West Country. And our powerhouse new British government Defence Secretary Wes Streeting, who knows what he knows about defence. You can stuff up a gnat's backside, but he's the new Defence Secretary, and the British government has announced that the UK is ready to defend itself. Is it?
Well, you can announce you can announce what you want. I could announce that it's Thursday, but it isn't. You know what I mean?
But what is it going to defend itself with? Well, we haven't got any military left.
Exactly. You know. Well, we could. You know, we might be buying some drones in the future. There you go. Intercontinental ballistic missiles. Yeah, we're gonna be on a winner there, aren't we? I mean, this again, as I always say, this goes back decades. This is about the constant undermining of our our sovereignty, of our security as a nation, and the demonisation of the military forces as well. That's been happening for such a long time. You can't just turn these things round on a sixpence. We're in quite a serious situation here. We have a hostile state threatening us, and we've got between you, me, the audience, and Iran, we've got West Streeting. That's a pretty bad situation, Kev.
I mean, a lot of people said, you know, you can't think of anybody less appropriate to be our Defence Secretary than West Streeting. He got no history whatsoever with defence. It's almost as an abysmal appointment as crazy Ed Miliband becoming the Foreign Secretary and enraging the White House. They are furious with this. So Andy Burnham, again, his appointments absolutely appalling. Listen, Philip, I'm afraid I've got to end our conversation, but it was brilliant. It was great to see you. The excellent Philip Kisley there from the New Culture Forum. Next up, I've got a migrant story for you that will infuriate you. It's a rapist. He raped a 14-year-old girl, and in 2021, he's still here, fighting deportation. Just get rid of him. The story will astonish you. It's a really bad example of how our migrant crisis is getting worse and worse and worse. And guess what? As 366 migrants arrived yesterday illegally across the Channel, our new Prime Minister, King Andy, has yet to mention the #1 issue that is concerning the people of Britain, the migrant crisis. But then again, £2 bus fares, yay! Honestly, who is this guy? What does he think he's doing? We'll talk about this migrant crisis story when we come back. Stay exactly where you are.
The Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. As a backdrop to this story, two things. First of all, our Prime Minister outrageously, appallingly, has yet to mention the migrant crisis or the small boats, even though it's the #1 issue concerning people in this country. He keeps droning on about bus fares and devolution. Nobody really cares about them. But he doesn't deign to talk about the issue that really concerns people. And you should know that in the last couple of days, I think it was on Wednesday, something like 175 migrants crossed the channel, and yesterday 366 crossed the channel illegally from France, including 165 on one inappropriately named small boat, big boat, the biggest ever so far. That's a world record for a single passenger list on a small boat. It's 165. So 366 came across yesterday. So that crisis continues apace. Unobserved, unnoticed, apparently, by our new Prime Minister, King Andy. But let's get to this story. So that's a backdrop to this story. Well, first of all, let's get on my guest for this story. He is former Met Police Detective Mike Neville. Welcome, Mike.
Yeah, good evening, Kevin. Good to be
here. Good to
here.
have you on the show. Well, let me just run through this story. It's a migrant story for these turbulent times. This is a paedophile. He's a failed asylum seeker who raped a 14-year-old girl and who at one point claimed to be Syrian, you know, escaping war and torture and all that. He also said he was a child when he arrived here. He now says he can't be deported because we discovered that he was lying about being Syrian. He is, in fact, Egyptian. He now says he can't be deported to his home country, Egypt, because all of a sudden he's apparently bisexual, and that would mean that in the land of the pyramids he would allegedly be persecuted for his sudden bisexuality. The guy's name is Karam Maji. He's 27. Has been due for deportation for some time now after serving half of his 7-year sentence for raping his underage 14-year-old victim in Croydon. He was released after 3 years from a youth offenders institution in 2021, 5 years ago. Supposed to be, he's still here. He's still here. And he's still telling lies in his bid to stay. The whole story is that when he got here in 2016, he claimed to be an unaccompanied child from Aleppo in Syria. That was a pile of rubbish, not true. But of course, he couldn't prove it with his documents because you'll never guess what, they'd fallen into the sea. How about that? What a bit of bad luck. Why, Mike, do you think this convicted rapist is still here 5 years after serving a sentence for raping an underage girl? Why do we put up with this nonsense? Why? Why? It's an insult to the people of this country.
Well, I think firstly, there's no political will to get rid of these people. You know, and when Starmer smashed the gangs and all this, the reason he was talking about that is because he thinks that maybe the gang masters are bad, but the people who come across are victims fleeing war. You know, that's the first thing. So there's not. And Burnham, I think you were saying Burnham has not mentioned this. The reason Burnham hasn't mentioned it is because, again, he feels the same, that these people are victims and they should be allowed to stay here. So you have a whole establishment who do not want to get rid of them and will accept more. And they're prepared to put, especially women and girls, at risk because of this. And then you have a whole lot of activists and lawyers who give them these excuses. This man has not thought of this himself. The idea of being homosexual, bisexual, whatever, wouldn't be in his mind at all. This idea has been given to him by some human rights lawyer or some charity activist who feels really good about themselves because they feel that they're helping him flee oppression. And these idiots, these not well-meaning idiots, these treacherous idiots, are just bringing woe to this nation by their works.
Yeah, and let's just again put this into perspective. You know, this guy raped an underage girl, a 14-year-old girl. He travelled there. He was staying in a hostel, and he travelled all the way to Croydon and found himself a 14-year-old girl. It was described as an opportunistic rape. Ruined that girl's life. She's got a life sentence. He got 7 years, only served 3. Now, at the moment, this is a paedophile rapist. Comes out of jail, 2021. He should be on the first plane back to Egypt, particularly since he has a long history of lying. Said he was from Syria, said he was a child when he arrived, said he was escaping war and torture. No, he wasn't. He's from Egypt. There's no war and torture in Egypt. Now suddenly says he's bisexual because, of course, that will bring into play, you guessed it, his human rights. His lawyers will argue, they're already arguing, that because of the rules of the European Convention on Human Rights, as a bisexual, he would allegedly be persecuted back in Egypt, and therefore his human rights dictate that we have to keep him here in this country for his own safety. You know, that entire saga is wrong on so many levels. I can barely start to say just how egregious all of this is. It's a shocking scandal, isn't it?
It is a shocking scandal, but what you've got to do, Kevin, is you've got to get out of the mindset of the common sense that you're talking, or your viewers and listeners and me will think. And you've got to get into the mindset of the judges and activists and the Labour politicians, Liberal Democrats and Greens, who are absolutely believe that they're doing the right thing. They're absolutely convinced that they're helping the world by letting this man stay. They live in a perverse worldview, but the trouble is with their worldview is they dominate the establishment. The judges, the activists, the lawyers, they're all committed. That's why they cannot see themselves withdrawing from this European Convention of Human Rights. It is a mindset, and until we replace that, this will continue to happen. Tinkering around the edges with ridiculous nonsense like smashing the gangs will achieve nothing until the establishment has the will to deal with this problem.
As I was saying earlier, Mike, on Wednesday, 172 migrants crossed the channel illegally in small boats, 3 boats there were. And then yesterday, 366, still only in 3 boats, but one of them, just one boat, was carrying 165 passengers. That's the biggest ever cargo of migrants to arrive in a single vessel on the south coast of Britain. That's the biggest ever. So this crisis is getting worse and worse and worse, and the more it goes on, the more we will have cases like our Egyptian friend. We have thousands and thousands of asylum seekers who should be deported immediately, but they're all locked into these long, rambling legal cases that allow a paedophile rapist to walk the streets of this country, a free man, for 5 years when he should be deported immediately he came out of jail. So this entire mess is chaotic, it's a scandal, it's getting worse, and the real scandal is that so far, while announcing his whirlwind of feel-good policies that he can't afford, Burnham has never once yet mentioned the migrant crisis. That's a disgrace.
And what you imagine is to get into that mindset, Kevin. We know, for example, that it's been forced out of the government that, we know that Afghanis are 20 times more likely to commit sexual offences than native Britons. But you have the government now refusing to hand over details of criminals by nationality, like the Danish government do. And the reason they're doing this because it will expose the whole nonsense of what they've been inflicted on this country. You know, they said, oh, they couldn't do it because it would be a £500 more than the Freedom of Information Act limit. Well, they're going to spend tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds at court arguing why they shouldn't release the facts of who commits crime. And it will blow a big hole in the multicultural dream, and they don't want that to happen. So the government are actively trying to cover up who commits crime in this country.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone to court to keep that information secret.
Why would you do that? Why in God's name?
Gee, Mike, I just can't work that out. I mean, do you think just maybe it might be that the government is worried that the real statistics on migrant crime, particularly migrant sex crimes, might be shockingly huge? Do you think that might be the reason they want to keep it covered up?
It could be. It could be. Indeed,
I think we're onto something here, Mike. I think we're onto something. It's outrageous. It really is. Mike, great to have you on this show. Thanks so much for coming on. That's Mike Neville, former Met Police detective there. Let me know what you think about that. A paedophile rapist who served 3 years in jail, said he was from Syria, but he was lying. Naturally, all his documents fell into the sea. Sure, they did. Suddenly, well, we now know he's Egyptian. Suddenly, he's a bisexual. So if he was sent back, he never has been before, but suddenly he is. If he gets sent back to Egypt, he says he'll be persecuted, and that would be against his human rights, wouldn't it? Thank God we're in the European Convention on Human Rights, eh? So his lawyers can argue his disgraceful case. So he'll probably end up spending the rest of his life here. Paedophile rapist. We can't get him out of the country. What's going wrong, folks? What do you think about that? Yeah, I mean, I know you do these stories, but each one is just shocking. It's shocking. This country has lost its resolve. It has lost its common sense. It is not a serious country anymore. It's basically being ruled by left-wing idiot judges. Let me know what you think about that. 03444991000. Next up, we're going to talk about the strange case of MP Natalie Fleet. About a week ago, she was tweeting that she was sick of the faux outrage of Reform UK and Nigel Farage over the death of their friend and colleague Anne Widdecombe. Faux outrage, all fake. She was sick of it. Well, she got told to take that tweet down and apologised. Now she suddenly quit as Safeguarding Minister, and she's made a very weird TikTok video. So we will talk about Ms Fleet after these messages. Stay tuned.
Across the UK on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Let's talk about the strange case of MP Natalie Fleet. She's the Labour MP. At this time, about a week ago, soon after the tragic murder of Anne Widdecombe, she tweeted that she was sick of the faux outrage of Reform UK and Nigel Farage over the slaughter, the death of their friend and colleague Anne Widdecombe. She was sick of the faux outrage. That tweet was swiftly deleted and she apologised. I suspect that somebody much higher up in the Labour Party, possibly Keir Starmer, the then Prime Minister, said, get that down. It was an outrageous thing to tweet. Now, here we are, and a week or so on, and Natalie Fleet has resigned as women's safeguarding minister. She took over from Jess Phillips at that job when Jess Phillips quit, which we always thought was quite a strange appointment because Natalie Fleet voted against the rape gang inquiry, which doesn't make her seem as if she's particularly interested in safeguarding women. But there you are. Anyway, she's now quit. And she says that she was found the job of being safeguarding minister overwhelmingly triggering. To be fair, she has her own drama, her own trauma in her life. She was statutorily raped when she was 15 years old by a man, and she says, I didn't know we were having unprotected sex. So our sympathy for that. But as she was leaving for the summer recess, we'll play you the TikTok video that she posted. It's all very strange. Well, look, to discuss this, let's go over to a friend of the show, journalist Khadija Khan. Hello, Khadija.
Hello, Kevin.
I'm just playing now. This is Natalie Fleet. She made this TikTok video, and she's just leaving Parliament now. Look, isn't what fun she's having. There she goes. She's off to Bolsover, her constituency. Look at this. Look at this. There's a song to this, but we can't play you. It's sort of a song all about booties and God knows what. So this doesn't look like a woman who's in deep trauma, does it? So what do you make, Khadija, of an MP, of a safeguarding minister for women's safeguarding, who first of all, before she got that job, she voted against the rape gang inquiry. She didn't think we needed a rape gang inquiry, which doesn't, to me, qualify her particularly to be women's safeguarding minister. But she took that gig on. She's now quit, saying she found it overwhelmingly triggering. To be fair, she's got her own trauma in her own history. She was raped when she was 15. But a week ago, there she was busy tweeting away saying that she was sick of the faux outrage of Nigel Farage and Reform UK after the murder of their friend and colleague Anne Widdecombe. This is strange behaviour by this woman, isn't it?
Yes, it seems quite strange. First of all, I would like to say that I truly appreciate Natalie Fleet for her bravery to share with us all her experience of being a victim of grooming gang as a teenager. And
she wasn't. She was victim of a man who groomed her, not so much a grooming gang, and it was statutory rape when she was 15, and she said she got pregnant. She didn't know they were having unprotected sex. I mean, very traumatic for her.
Was traumatic.
And you can sort of understand that perhaps being safeguarding minister might be, as she put it, overwhelmingly triggering. But what was she thinking when she tweeted that she was sick of the faux outrage of Nigel Farage and Reform UK over the murder of their friend and colleague Anne Widdecombe? That doesn't show a whole lot of humanity, does it?
It's quite unreasonable for a sitting MP to tweet that way about someone who has been brutally slaughtered at their own residence. And she was, Anne Burnham, she was a veteran politician. And the way she was attacked, brutally attacked before her death, I mean, it is such a traumatic, incident, and tweeting such insensitive with insensitive words. I think it's really, really unreasonable. And in my opinion, it lacks empathy, I would say, for those people who are on the receiving end of this sort of torture. It's quite strange. Overall, I would say the situation in Labour Party is quite unsettling. This resignation marks the second high-profile departure from the specific role in just 2 months following Jess Phillips' resignation in May 2026. So I wonder, what are the circumstances we are talking about here? This ripple effects of the ripple effect of these departure are significant, I would say, and should not be underestimated. Jess Phillips resigned, stating that the desire not to have an argument means we rarely make an argument, leaving opportunities for progress stalled and delayed. I think this whole situation with this recent resignation speaks volumes about the effectiveness of measures and policies the party had put in place.
This video she made, Khadija, a psychotherapist, James Esses, tweeted this video and said, "I'm sorry, Natalie Fleet, but speaking as a psychotherapist, you can't have it both ways. If you felt unable to do your job because you were overwhelmed, you should not feel able to make cringy TikTok videos to lyrics about big booties bouncing." James Esses has got a point, hasn't he?
It's quite strange behavior. And it does not resonate with the words she just, said while resigning from this post. And this is a strange behavior. Again, I would say in Labour Party, are they really taking their job seriously?
Yeah, that's
when it comes to safeguard vulnerable girls who have long suffered insufferable, miserable circumstances. So are they really taking their job seriously? Or it's just, coming and going for them and not taking anything seriously, which is related to the welfare, the well-being of the most vulnerable people.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think you're right. I think you're right, Khadija. This seems as if she wasn't taking it seriously. As I say, I certainly wouldn't have a go at her for the overwhelming triggering she felt. I can understand that.
Yeah,
but then to go off and make this fatuous, silly video, grooving around with sunglasses to a song singing about big booties bouncing. I mean, it's just so strange. And also, a week ago, tweeting about faux outrage of the people who just had a friend. Yeah, I don't know. We did reach out to Natalie Fleet. We asked her to come on and talk about this and perhaps even give us a quote. But you'll be amazed to hear that we got no response, Khadija.
Again, I would say the free speech is not something that Labour Party appreciate. So I would really doubt.
They're not big fans of it, are they?
Exactly.
No. Listen.
She was a very fierce speaker, and she was very bold in her assertion and claims, and whatever she believes in, she would say it right away. And you can agree to disagree with her policies, with her opinions as a politician. But, saying this at a time when people are grieving for that veteran politician, I think it's really unreasonable.
No, it was disgusting. It really was. And somebody high up in Labour, maybe Starmer himself, because he was still the PM then, obviously told her to get that down, and she took it down.
To be very honest, I tell you that the whole Labour Party culture needs an overhaul, to be very honestly. They are going through unsettling circumstances. We know that the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, he has been selected, recently, and in the circumstances in which he was selected. I mean, it does not tell
selected
us
by about 20,000 people in Makerfield.
Exactly.
Never mind the rest of the country.
It defies all the democratic norms to be where he is today now. I mean, it's just so, it beggars belief, to be very honest.
What we're talking about here is that, you know, they see themselves as the Be Kind party, but all too often, people of the left are anything but kind. They're extremely unkind. That was an extremely unkind thing to tweet about Reform UK. Faux outrage after their friend and colleague was brutally murdered. That's not faux outrage, Natalie. That's outrage, and that's grief. Khadija, always good to have on the show. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend. Khadija Khan there, journalist and friend of this show. Next up, we're going to take your calls. 03444991000 to get on the blower. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk.
The Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I got messages and calls pouring in about Number 10 North, asking what the hell it's all about. Nobody seems to know, and I don't blame them. I don't know. I don't know what it's supposed to do. Ray actually sent me a great message, alluding to what I've been talking about. Look, it's not Number 10 North for quite a lot of the country. It's further south. But Ray has said, hi Kev, approximately 38 to 40% of England is north of Manchester. This makes Manchester the Midlands, says Ray from Newcastle. There you go. It's not even north. It's just an office in Manchester. Unbelievable. Let's take a couple of calls. Let's go to Ryan in Doncaster. Hello, Ryan. What would you like to say?
Hello, afternoon. Well, I think that moving to Manchester could be a really good thing for the country.
Why?
Well, what I'd do is I'd empty the immigrant hotels around Manchester of half the immigrants, because they're going to make them on. If they make them,
what would you do with the other half then? What would you do with the half that you get rid of?
I'd fill it up with the Home Office staff and some of the lady MPs, and then they could integrate with the immigrants in the hotel, like they say that they want to do. They think that integrating's great. I'm sure that the immigrants.
Well, what do you do with the half? What do you do with the half of the migrants that you take out of the hotels?
Well, make them homeless, because there ain't going to be any.
Well, yeah, but Andy's trying to tackle homelessness, or rough sleeping, as he is.
Yeah, exactly. If you chuck them out there, it's going to put them somewhere else.
Okay. Well, it's an interesting idea, right? Yeah.
Just give the government an idea of how they can integrate with them.
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm gleaning from what you really mean. You don't think it's a good idea, number 10 North, and nor do I. Ryan, thanks for ringing. Ryan in Doncaster there. Anne is waiting, and she is in. Is that North Allerton? Is that right? Am I right, Anne?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What
hi, Kev.
Hi.
Which is in the glorious county of North Yorkshire.
So are you further north than Manchester?
Yeah, so we are in the clues in the name, North Yorkshire.
Yeah.
So we are north of Manchester. But my idea is that with all this devolution, I would love to have North Yorkshire devolved, and then we could have a border. I thought maybe.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, and then Andy could keep the border open and let migrants in. Yeah.
Well, we could close our border.
Okay.
North Yorkshire, we'd close our border, and I thought that we're a very rural county up here, so all the farmers, I thought, could be our border force, and because they're generally not happy with what happened with the Starmer government.
Well, exactly. Old Keir Starmer, Farmer Harmer. Yeah, we remember that.
So I thought we could have a little bit of a country up here going.
I like that. Why not? Look, Anne, why not? I mean, this guy, Burnham, he says he's going to bring power to every postcode. Yeah. So let's use that power and start declaring independent nations. How about that? See if he'd like that.
I think isn't there a village at the moment?
Yeah, Piddleton, I think it's called. They're declaring them because they're getting about 1,300 migrants imposed on them. So they're saying, right, we're going to make an independent country. But just to be serious for a second, this whole idea of,
I can't be serious. How can I be serious? He's not a serious person.
No, he's not. I mean, and this idea of devolution, mini devolution to power in every postcode, is just ludicrous. It will make the country ungovernable. And
to be a bit serious, Kev, you're right, because in North Yorkshire it is quite rural and it's quite.
It's lovely.
Nice,
I know it's lovely up there. Yeah.
And Manchester, we think, stay the other side of the Pennines. We don't like it. It's a nasty big city, sprawling.
Don't
horrible.
You tell Andy Burnham that. He's obsessed with it. He thinks it's heaven, nirvana. Listen, Anne, you do that. Declare North Yorkshire an independent country, and we'll all get passports and we'll come and visit you. Great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Anne in North Allerton there. Good idea, that. Stay where you are, and next up, we are going to be talking about more stories, so stay where you are.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go through some of the big stories of the day with my next guest, Simon Danczuk. Before I do go over to Simon, I should let you know we're going to talk about this strange development in the BBC case against Donald Trump. The BBC, he's suing them for $10 billion for editing that tape, Panorama editing the film of him making that speech on Capitol Hill in 2020. To make it look as if he was calling for violent revolution and insurrection after he got beaten by Biden in the election. Well, the BBC, their legal tactic seems to be to try to prove that he was calling for revolution and insurrection. Well, good luck with that. That's ridiculous. That's going to waste a lot of money. We'll talk about that in a little while. But first of all, let's go over to my next guest, Simon Danczuk, former Labour MP, now Reform UK. Welcome, Simon.
Good to join you, Kevin.
Always a pleasure. Right. Well, the big question of the day to my guests, to my audience, all of us are absolutely perplexed as to what the hell Number 10 North is all about. I'm going to play you a couple of clips now. First of all, proving that this guy really does need to get out a lot more. Andy Burnham says this is the best day of his life now that it's opened this little office in Manchester. Well, let's have a listen to that first. And then I'll play you another clip in which he tries to explain what the hell this nonsense is all about. First of all, here he is, terribly excited. At least one man in the entire country is excited by Number 10 North. Take it away, Andy.
I cannot tell you what a proud moment this is. I think this might be the best day of my life. I'm not joking either. I know you think I am, but I'm not. Things are just completely coming full circle here for me. And to be here with you all in the heart of Manchester this Friday morning at the end of, you know, a fairly big week is just everything to me.
Well, that's great, isn't it? The best day of his life, as I say, he needs to get out a bit more. And here, Simon, as the rest of us search in vain for a reason for this nonsense, this very expensive nonsense, here is King Andy himself trying to explain what it's all about.
Opportunity has not been evenly spread around the country, and not all places have felt that they're part of the national story. And that is what this government is going to work every single day to change. And that is what Number 10 North is all about. Putting power in every postcode so that people can turn things around for themselves and make changes, just as this great city has done and the other English cities are doing through devolution. It's also about getting the whole country facing the same way and then pulling in the same direction.
Simon, I mean, you're a man of the North. Can you work out what the hell this is all about? I should preface that by saying it's already cost quite a lot of money. He's offering very generous relocation packages to civil servants and political workers who can move north to work at Number 10 North. He already spent about £20,000 on the Prime Ministerial jet to take him yesterday from London to Glasgow and then Glasgow back to Manchester. Every Friday, he's going to fly up to Manchester on the Prime Ministerial jet, then back on Sunday night or Monday. Though it'll cost 10 to 15 grand for every single flight, not to mention the costs of all the ministers, the workers who are going to have to go up there and then back. Apart from this being a fatuous vanity project by a man with, frankly, an unhealthy obsession with one city, Manchester, what can you tell us what the hell this is supposed to be all about?
I think it's exactly what you've described it as, Kevin. I think it's a vanity project. And I do believe that he thinks it's going to be electorally advantageous, but I think he's called it very badly wrong. And it's going to be a running story throughout his premiership, isn't it? Reporting on every aspect of it. You named some of the costs associated with this. And it will just become a running sword for the Labour Prime Minister. Week in, week out, we will have adverse stories about number 10 North. It's just inevitable. If he can't see that, then he needs his head examining. And, you know, electorally, it just won't wash. I mean, this is a complete waste of money. And people in Greater Manchester or in any other city outside London just won't buy into it. What we've got to bear in mind is that we're a small country. This isn't a big country. The idea that you need two locations to govern the country is an absolute nonsense.
Well, if I just stop you for a second there, Simon, a particularly huge country springs to mind. It's called the United States of America. It has one governmental centre in that country's capital city, Washington, D.C. No one would say, we ought to have, we ought to have White House South in Los Angeles or Dallas or something, or White House West, in Seattle. I mean, every country in the world runs its country from the government is based in the capital city. Trying to get rid of that, to ditch that perfectly logical system, just doesn't make any sense at all. It's going to be very inconvenient. It's going to be very expensive, even from his travel expenses alone. And it's not going to achieve anything. He was talking earlier about, power will flow down from Manchester to places like Birmingham. By the way, I'm not sure what part of the north you're actually from, Simon, but a lot of my audience, my listeners, viewers, are texting in and phoning in to say 40% of England is north of Manchester. Just had a lady on from North Yorkshire saying, well, as far as we're concerned, number 10 north is number 10 south. So it is a kind of obsession with one city, frankly, at the expense of the rest of the country. What does he think he's doing?
Burnham's decision to create this number 10 North is not based on evidence. It's not based on fact. There's nothing from any other country, as you point out, that suggests this is a good solution to devolving power or devolving decisions, or that it will result in better government. There's no evidence for that. It's complete fantasy from our new Prime Minister, who has been imposed on us, isn't he? What's it based upon? There's nothing to suggest it will deliver better for the British people. It's a complete nonsense. Complete vanity project.
And, we've been talking about the migrant crisis today. 366 illegal migrants came across the channel in small boats yesterday. 165 of them in one incorrectly named small boat, in a big boat, the biggest ever, with the biggest number of passengers on one boat. 366 yesterday, 172 on Wednesday. My guess, hundreds more today. Meanwhile, this guy hasn't once mentioned the migrant crisis, which is the number one concern of people in this country. It's the issue that concerns the people of Britain most. The issue that concerns them the least, this is statistically a fact, is devolution. Nobody gives a damn about devolution, mayors in every postcode. Nobody cares. And yet that's what he obsesses on. Keeps going, this is a marvellous, best day of my life. Do me a favour. How about this, Andy? You even deign to mention the issue that concerns the people of this country the most, the migrant crisis. Because so far, scandalously in my view, disgracefully, this feel-good man has failed to mention the migrant crisis once. As I say, absolutely scandalous.
According to my calculations, about 600 illegal immigrants come in by boat since Andy Burnham became Prime Minister. So that's up to the end of Thursday this week. And as you point out, probably some more today. Well over 77,000 came in by boat under Keir Starmer from the general election in 2024. So on that calculation, since Labour came to power, we've had 78,000 illegal immigrants come into this country by boat. Have a think about that. 78,000. It's incredibly bad. And the situation is, well, you can only reach the conclusion, let's be clear, that Labour believe in open borders. This is,
they don't care, do they? They don't care. They rather like it. They do. They actually think that all these con men coming across the channel, are engineers, doctors, philosophers, God knows what. And that they are escaping war and torture, and it's quite right to offer them sanctuary. They just don't care, and it's what people care about. What the people don't care about is devolution, but it's what Andy is obsessed with. I think this is we're going to find this more and more with this guy. He's going to not put himself up to scrutiny. He's going to grin into the cameras and talk about feel-good nonsense that he thinks will make him popular, and not mention the negative aspects of what's going on in this country, because that doesn't make him look good. In terms of his feel-good policies, let's run through them. First of all, he announced that he was going to take £340 million to end rough sleeping. That's not going to end rough sleeping. Where's he going to get the money from anyway? £850 million it will cost to take the VAT off our energy bills, which he's promised to do, therefore saving us a whole 86p a week. Big deal, but that'll cost £850 million. That's not costed. Where's he going to get the money? The £2 bus fare cap. Heidi Alexander, the Transport Secretary, announced. She was the first one to say, well, we haven't quite costed it yet. So that's not funded. And yesterday, Andy Burnham, I don't disagree with the principle of this, but he said he was going to give tax breaks to pubs, struggling pubs and hospitality venues. That's going to cost another £100 million. Where's he going to get the money? And, of course, finally, his council house building programme. If it comes up to what he declares, it will cost £50 billion. And there's already an £800 million a year funding black hole in that project. Meanwhile, he says he wants to nationalise as many industries as he can. The first one is Thames Water, my water company, or the one that serves my house. To nationalise Thames Water would cost £106 billion. Where is he going to get the money? So we've just run through there, Simon, considerably over £2 billion worth of commitments, pledges, vows and promises that this Prime Minister has made since coming into number 10 on Downing Street, and he hasn't got a penny to pay for any of them. This is absolute empty claptrap.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's one of two things going to happen, I believe, Kevin. He's either going to have to put taxes up to pay for this, or he's running into it. He's going to call a general election. He's spending like a leader, a prime minister who is going to call a general election.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Good point.
I would not be surprised if he called a general election before Christmas, because this is not economically sustainable. Without raising taxes significantly. I mean, the amount he's spending, as you pointed out, on all these projects is going to cost a fortune, and we're going to run into a budget in the autumn, which he has to stack up. I think he will call a general election the polls have certainly narrowed between Labour and Reform. He thinks it's got a chance. And some argue, well, why would he get rid of such a big Labour majority? Why would he risk losing all these Labour MPs? I don't think he cares about all this big majority. I think the Labour MPs are in for a shock. They all wanted a selfie with him. Many of them, when he calls this general election, will lose their seat and he'll throw them under the bus, quite literally. So they're in for a shock. That's what I think will happen.
I think it's a really good thought. I mean, it's just indicates that this guy, it's all about Andy, isn't it? He's a bit narcissistic because if he does call that election, I think he'll struggle to win it, but he might win it. He might just about win it, given the weakness, at least, of the Tory opposition. But he might just about win it, but that would be at the expense of hundreds of Labour MPs. So if he does call an election, it means he is prepared to jettison the livelihoods of hundreds of Labour MPs for his own ambitions, his own devices to become, you know, something that he isn't now, a legitimately elected Prime Minister. It's all about Andy, isn't it?
That is exactly right. That's what I think's going on here. And what you should also note, Kevin, is how lightly the Liberal Democrats, Ed Davey, leader of the Liberal Democrats, has tread in terms of this new Prime Minister. So Andy's playing it safe. I've no doubt he'll have had words with Ed Davey privately. So he's cutting his cloth accordingly, as both Ed Davey and Andy Burnham. If he weren't to get a reasonable Labour majority in an autumn or winter general election, then he could certainly get to a stage where he's in a coalition with the Liberal Democrats. And that's what I think we could be seeing. Mark my words on this.
Yeah, I mean, now I come to think of it, you're making a very logical and terrifying point. But, you know, it still would be, because, you know, I'm looking at my switchboard, it's jammed with people saying, you know, here's one, for example, Alan in Nottinghamshire. Just a rant, I'll just go like that. Would someone please explain how number 10 up north will make the slightest difference to anyone's life? Daft, I call it. You know, they were trying to make a big thing the other day of saying, oh, well, all of the cabinet secretaries and ministers that he had to get rid of, he personally phoned every single one of them, telling us that. As if I'm going to go, oh, well, that makes my life so much different, so much better. And he personally called the people he was sacking. Couldn't care less. You know, I mean, they are just spewing out this feel-good claptrap of him smiling, you know, going on Reddit, going on TikTok, giving soft soap interviews to fanboy Andrew Marr and Gary Lineker, but not saying anything concrete that will improve our lives. Just trying to say, oh, look at me, I'm smiling, I've got eyelashes, I've got lovely policies for you. I think we're being conned here on a massive basis.
Absolutely. This Burnham veneer will only last so long with the public. I mean, it's falling apart by the end of his first week, isn't it? And you mentioned the fact that he flew into Manchester on a jet, which cost
on the prime ministerial jet, yeah.
Yeah. So the man of the people image, where he's drinking a pint with his T-shirt on and everything else, is soon falling by the wayside. He's jetting about at our expense. The veneer of Burnham is beginning to chip away, and I think by the end of the summer and into the autumn, I think people will quickly realise that he's not the substantial Prime Minister that they thought he might be.
And the double standards hypocrisy of a man. £2 bus fares, fantastic, £2. Cap for everyone. 450 million quid, that'll cost the rest of us taxpayers. £2 bus fares, you know, and then climbs onto his his own personal jet to fly to Glasgow to hang out with the King and then fly to Manchester. No £2 bus fares for Andy Burnham, that's for damn sure. I'll leave you, Simon. It's good to have you on the show. Have a great weekend, but I'll leave you with a text that I've got from Gary. Gary says, I don't consider myself a clever man, but what is Burnham doing? He's making me look like a genius. Well said, Gary. Big thanks to Simon Danjic there, former Labour MP, now Reform UK. Next up, I'm going to talk to my friend Greg Swenson, chairman of the Republican Overseas Organisation here in London, about the BBC's bizarre legal tactic in its battle to ward off Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, of course, is suing the state broadcaster for $10 billion because Panorama has admitted doctoring a tape to make it look as if in 2020, when he made that speech on Capitol Hill, to make it look as if he was calling for violent insurrection. He was doing nothing of the kind. The BBC now seems to be trying to prove that he was doing that. Well, he wasn't. So they're trying to build up a case to say it was all right for Panorama to doctor these tapes because the truth was Donald Trump was calling for violent revolution. That's a waste of TV licence fee payers' money. Honestly, what on earth do they think they're doing? We'll talk to Greg about that next. Stay tuned.
The Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense, so head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, let's go straight over to my next guest, my friend Greg Swenson from the Republican Overseas Organisation here in London. Welcome, Greg.
Good to see you, Kevin.
Always a pleasure. Now, I want to talk about this ongoing lawsuit by the President Donald Trump, suing the BBC after the BBC admitted that its flagship news documentary show, Panorama, edited film of his speech in 2020, making it look as if he called for violent insurrection, the storming of Capitol Hill, as if he was encouraging that, calling for revolution, because he didn't like the fact that he had been ostensibly beaten in the presidential election by Sleepy Joe Biden. He did nothing of the sort. Panorama has admitted that they edited this tape. The chairman of the BBC, Samir Shah, has admitted it was regrettable. So they've admitted they did it. Their tactic in trying to defend this, I always said, don't do that. Oh, we're sorry we did that. You know, that is to admit you're wrong right at the outset. But anyway, there's no dispute that they did this, that they doctored the tape to make Trump look bad in 2020. That's why he's suing. Their tactic now seems to be, since they have subpoenaed him for his personal texts, DMs, messages, leading up to that speech in 2020. They're demanding he hands over all his personal messages, his private communications. Their tactic seems to be to prove that he actually was plotting violent insurrection and revolution against the American government because he was no longer leading it. Well, there's two things about that. First of all, he wasn't. So there's a sort of slight problem.
Yeah.
And secondly, that doesn't speak to what he is suing the BBC about. He's suing the BBC because Panorama doctored that speech to make it look as if it was something that it wasn't. So trying to prove that he may or may not have been plotting revolution is besides the point. What on earth do they think they're playing at the BBC?
Yeah, it's pretty outrageous. I think, if anything, maybe that's just a defense tactic.
It is.
Throw some grenades in the room. Plus, it's a nuisance factor. And lawyers do this all the time. And in the early stages of the trial or before the trial, and they just have this opportunity to harass the plaintiff and embarrass the plaintiff. Obviously, that's what they're trying to do. But then again, they've been trying to do that for the last 12 years. So they're once again making their obvious bias even more obvious.
Indeed. Let's have a quick look at that Panorama section.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
So the former was what Panorama inflicted on its viewers. Frankly, deception to the point of an outright lie. The latter was what he actually said. You're quite right, Greg. Clearly the BBC's trying to get under Donald Trump's skin and say, well, you want to proceed with this lawsuit, you're going to have to give us all your personal messages. Well, it's not going to affect the lawsuit, and if I know Donald Trump, he'll probably go, well, OK, then, let's give you what you want, because it's nothing to do with the lawsuit. It may well be. Donald Trump's lawyers, I would suspect, rather than the president actually handing over his personal messages, will say, what exactly has this got to do with the president's lawsuit? It's got nothing to do with it.
Exactly, and of course he has executive privilege, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, he surely doesn't have to show that in the discovery phase. But the other thing is, it would be actually quite amusing. Maybe he has some WhatsApp messages to Nancy Pelosi asking her why she didn't authorize more guard troops the day before when he asked for that. Maybe there's a text to the head of the FBI who was trying to undermine Trump from the beginning. And ask them why there were 25 FBI agents or FBI informants embedded in the crowd. So that was leading the charge basically. So yeah, there's a lot. On one hand, there's a lot that's going to come out. I think we'll see some additional evidence come out, and we've seen that in the last couple of years about the FBI, about some of the other organizations that were writing checks, like the Southern Poverty Law Center, a very left-wing progressive legal support function, which used to be a good organization. They used to fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves back during the civil rights years, and now it's just become a crazy lefty mouthpiece. But they were writing checks to the Proud Boys and other so-called right-wing or extremist organizations. They wanted this thing to happen. That's so obvious. That on one hand, it's interesting to see that stuff come out now. On the other hand, nobody really cares. I mean, it's just not an issue. J6 is like, except for the Democrats and mainstream media, but half of the country just doesn't care.
Well, you lived here full time for the best part of 10 years, so you know the horror of having to, by law, pay 180 quid a year for the useless BBC. So, in effect, when the BBC spends money, they spend our money. This is going to cost a lot of money. They are wasting a lot of TV licence fee payers' money on a forlorn legal tactic, because Trump's lawyers are just going to say, no, we're suing you because Panorama doctored a tape to make it look as if the president called for violent insurrection on Capitol Hill. That's what we're suing you for. This has got nothing to do with it. So this will cost a lot of money. I think it will be kicked out of court. The BBC, frankly, this is just me talking, of course, but you'll understand what I'm saying. They just cannot stand the fact that the president, the Trump they hate, they despise, is humiliating them. And is going to beat them. He is going to beat them because they're so naive, this lot, because, they all work in the public sector. They don't have the sharpness you need in the private sector. The first thing they did in this lawsuit was, we got it all wrong. Well, that was really bad. We shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have edited that. Well, you've just admitted what he's suing you for. So, game over.
Yeah, I wouldn't want these guys to be my lawyers, but, and the other thing to consider is, the BBC is not exactly everybody's favorite network right now. They're down 539 licenses, 539,000 licenses down versus last year. And so people are just refusing to pay or just cutting the cord. So, I think the last thing they should be doing is giving another reason for people to hate them.
Yeah, I've told my audience before, and I'm going to say it again. Let me tell you, he's suing the BBC for $10 billion. I don't think he'll get that. You never do in these cases. But I'm telling you, he cannot lose this case. He has to win. The BBC has no defence. And they're mucking around the edges here in a desperate bid that I don't think they should be making, because in the end they're wasting our money. But nothing new in that. While I've got you, Greg, what are your thoughts about this story today that emerged late last night? That Andy Burnham, to his credit, has allowed America to carry on using British air bases to launch bombing strikes on Iran. So far, so good. But the IRGC, the Iranian Republican Guard Corps, the IRGC, now say, well, the fact that America is being allowed to use British air bases to launch airstrikes on us makes British air bases a legitimate military wartime target. They're threatening to particularly attack Fairhurst Air Base, which is in the West Country. That's where most of the jets take off from. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, look, these guys are lunatics. So on one hand, it's just bluster. This is what the IRGC and the regime does all the time. They make these big threats. They're obviously not credible. And when they say they're going to defeat the great Satan, everybody knows they're not going to defeat the United States. However, it doesn't mean they don't have some terrorist lunatic embedded in the country somewhere that could do harm. And they've done this before. They've been killing Americans and Brits for 50 years. And so, on one hand, it is bluster. It shouldn't be taken literally, but it should be taken seriously because that's what they do. They're terrible.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're exactly right, Greg. You know, the fear here, I hope at RAF Fairford, they have stepped up security like there's no tomorrow. In fact, on all military bases in Britain now, security must be of the utmost concern, because the danger here is some IRGC terrorist lunatic does something terrible. You're exactly right. Greg, good to have you on the show. Have a fabulous weekend. That's Greg Swenson, chairman of the Republican Overseas Organisation, about how the BBC is wasting your money, getting humiliated by Donald Trump. It's quite funny to see, but it's also expensive. Getting a lot of complaints, by the way, about the Commonwealth Games, which are in Glasgow now. The BBC, of course, perennially brought those athletic events to you on TV, like all other, or nearly every other major sporting event, apart from, I think, the tennis at Wimbledon. The BBC has let it go. It's now on TNT, on the TNT network, so most people can't get it. And they bought the rights, TNT Sports bought the rights for £5 million, a pretty tiny sum. So the BBC maybe should have kept it. People really complaining, why have they got rid of it? BBC, of course, now, which used to obsess on the Commonwealth Games, is acting like they don't exist, because they don't have them anymore. If you want to talk about that, please do. 03444991000. When we come back for the rest of the show, we'll take your calls and I'll read some messages. I don't know who got any WhatsApp voice notes, but if we have, I will play them out. So all of that still to come. Peter Cardwell will be in nearer 7 o'clock to tell you what he's got lined up for your entertainment. So all of that still to come. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We've come to that very important moment in the show where I promote myself, where I plug myself. It's certainly important to me anyway. I've got 2 TV shows coming out as per. There's one which is already available on YouTube. Don't want you to look at it now, obviously. It's Plank of the Week. It's on YouTube right now. You can watch it anytime you like. Here is a clip. Pete, what has the BBC done for you?
All.
Samara.
All.
Chloe.
Cool.
Ellie.
Cool.
There you have it, folks. That's a 4. They're expecting us to go, oh, what a question. Well, the BBC has done so much for it. I mean, what has it done? What does the BBC do for us, Chloe? I mean, that was obviously about this advert. that they put out in the World Cup, and they're still imposing on us, going, what's the BBC ever done for me? And then they go, look at EastEnders. Oh, what's the BBC ever done for me? Oh, look, it's Doctor Who. Oh, it's Strictly Come Dancing. In other words, the BBC's done, as we said on Plank of the Week, sweet FA. I mean, we didn't put it like that, for us. It's done nothing for me, it's done nothing for you, has it? How dare they? Right, let's spend 200 grand on that advert. Promoting themselves. You haven't done anything for anyone, so stop kidding yourself. My other show, which is live tonight on Talk at 9 p.m, and then tomorrow from 10 a.m. on YouTube, anytime you like, is What Just Happened. Here's a clip. If you want to pay more tax, you can do it. There's a voluntary tax.
There's a button you can click on the line.
Yeah,
so
there's a voluntary tax portal.
Yeah, do that, Lineker. You won't, will you?
Yeah, they could all do it. They could all go to the voluntary tax portal now on the government website, and they could all put £1 million in if they wanted to. But instead, they want everybody to know how wonderful they are. We're talking about Gary Lineker and his patriotic millionaire mates, 120, and they say, please can we pay more tax? Shout, shout, shout. They could do it quietly right now. There's a portal on the government website for voluntary tax. If you want to stick 100 quid in, or 100,000 or 100 million, the government's very willing to accept your money. Voluntary tax. Nobody bothers, of course. Nobody does it. But you can if you want. So these big-mouthed millionaires could do it quietly. Oh, no. Oh, no. They've got to shout it from the rooftops and signal their extraordinary virtue. Bunch of tossers. Right. Shall we go to the phones? Let's talk to Tom in Rugby. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Kevin. Is this business about Axel Rudakubana?
Yes.
They transferred to Broadmoor. Look, the guy, you said that he wasn't mentally ill at his trial.
No.
But actually, the bloke is a roaring psychopath.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean to say... But you don't have to indulge these people. He's not... No. He was judged to not be mentally ill at his trial. Exactly. All of a sudden, he is. The net result of this new judgment, Tom, is that he is now going to get a relatively cushy sentence for the rest of his miserable life.
No, people only stay in Broadmoor for about 5 years, max, on average.
He won't, though. He'll stay there.
He's been sent there because...
how long was the Yorkshire Ripper there, then?
I don't know. No idea.
Something like 30 years. He was there about 30 years. 5 years is
the average. That's the
average. For example, the Yorkshire Ripper was there for 30 years. I think you'll agree, Tom, that Axel Rudakubana is not an average inmate.
I think that things have changed since.
No. He is getting a cushy. He's getting a cushy sentence. There's no point in you talking while I'm talking, is there? He is getting a cushy sentence now, and the families. The grieving relatives of those poor kids he killed in the dance hall are furious. So a little bit of respect for them, eh?
I've got huge respect for them. He's a villain, an evil guy.
They are furious because he's getting a cushy sentence
now. He can make him safe to go back to prison, because he will go back to prison.
What are you talking about? That's nonsense, absolute nonsense. He's put game to the system. He's going to get a nice life in Broadmoor now, and that disrespects the grieving families of those poor kids he killed. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. In fact, what it makes me feel is bring back the death penalty.
Well, that's not existing. You have to live in the real world, Kevin, I'm afraid. We haven't got the death penalty.
Well, we could always bring it back. We could always bring it back, couldn't we?
Dangerous. He's at risk of actually murdering prison officers.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. Tom, honestly, enough. Thank you, bye. Tom in Rowe, what a lot of crap, honestly. It really makes me angry. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. How can he be not mentally ill for his trial, and now suddenly he is? This is typical be kind, soft soap nonsense. We have given that guy a much easier sentence. We've reduced his punishment, and my sympathy goes to the poor, grieving relatives of those kids he killed. It's just ridiculous. We did it with Valdo Calicone as well, the Nottingham killer. He went to a psychiatric hospital. Put him in jail. You know, if he's so... Tom going, oh, well, he could murder prison officers. Not if you just leave him constantly locked up in solitary confinement. He won't murder anyone then, will he? It's just rubbish, absolute rubbish. Let me know what you think, 0344 499 1000. Let's go to break. More calls when we come back.
Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago, he wasn't even an MP. The next, he's holding keys to number 10.
You know what? I'm trying so hard not to be cynical about it all, but I'm trying to keep, not hope. I'm sick of hearing about hope already. He's only been in government for 5 minutes, but I want them to succeed because I want Britain to succeed.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A few texts before we go back to the phones. This is Mark, says what the BBC did was wrong. Heads should have rolled. This is in terms of the Donald Trump lawsuit, of course. But the BBC staff won't lose their money, they will lose our money. Exactly right, Mark. Mark goes on to say, I think he's wrong on this, the BBC is playing hardball. They want Trump to drop it in order to avoid having to open the books and communication history. That's their job. It's not their job. That's lawyers playing games. It won't work. It's a tactic, but it won't work because it's irrelevant to the lawsuit. So that's lawyers wasting our money on a tactic that won't work. Let's get that right. They're going to lose that case. They're going to lose it. What else we got here? This is from Kate in Lincolnshire. Why is Burnham getting a free rein to do anything he wants? It's a very good question. God knows. God knows. Last one from Tommy. So the Commonwealth Games kicked off today, but you won't be able to watch it on the BBC, whom we pay a fortune to compared to other streaming sites. Oh, no, we would need to subscribe to TNT Sports if we want to watch something that was always on the Beeb. What's the point of the BBC? Very good question, Tommy. One that we can't really answer. It used to have a point, it now doesn't have a point, except to waste our money. Let's go back to the phones. Peter Cardwell will be in soon to let you know what he's got lined up for you. But first, let's talk to Liam in Folkestone. Hi, Liam. How are you doing?
Hi there, Kev. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. You're down on the front line of the migrant crisis. They're pouring across at the moment, aren't they? The not-so-small boats.
Well, you see, this is the thing. This is why I had to call in, because I've been following this for the past nearly 8 years. The very first mention of small boats happened on the 28th of December 2018. If you remember,
Is that right?
At the time, yeah. Sajid Javid came across. He had to break up his holiday.
That's why he put it in a national emergency because 450 had come across in a month or something. Is that right?
Yeah. they're tiny. They were tiny little inflatables that you could have bought down on any British coastline.
Yeah.
Now, for the past 7 odd years or so, it's always been relentless in the media. Small boats, small boats, small boats, small boats, small boats. They're not small boats, as is proven yesterday with over 160. Now, what I would really love for you to do is to get this into the mainstream media and the national psyche. These are landing crafts, Kev.
That's
They're
interesting. Yeah, you're so right. But of course, they don't often have to land because the lifeboat, the RNLI water taxi service, and also the Border Force water taxi service goes out, meets them mid-channel, and then brings them kindly back to Britain, or so that they can be put into 4-star hotels and be given 50 quid a week benefits, free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers, and free everything else. So they're landing crafts, but mostly they don't have to land. But yesterday? Yeah, one of these so-called small boats had 165 people on. That is the biggest small boat in history.
Yeah, well, over the past 4 days, underneath Burnham, we've had 538 on 6. That only took 4 days. And I've just looked at how many days it took from Starmer to become, from his prime ministership, from the 4th of July 2024. It took 10 days to actually hit 538.
Yeah.
10 days.
Yeah, and don't forget, Liam, while this is unfolding before our very eyes, the resurgence, if you like, of the migrant crisis, because there was a long sort of period when not much was happening because the weather was bad, but while it's resurging, the Prime Minister has yet to mention it yet, which is an absolute scandal. Listen, Liam, I've got to move on, but really good to talk to you as always. Have a great weekend. Let's go to Billy in Belfast. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Kevin. How you doing? Kevin, I'm just listening to this absolute nonsense that's going on over there. A couple of points, if you'll bear with me. First of all, if we now have a number 10 in the north, number 10 north as they're calling it, does that mean that over 600 MPs are going to need accommodation in Manchester?
Well, no, it's not. I don't think he's suggesting that, but ministers, cabinet secretaries, various members of staff, I think will have to regularly commute up there because Burnham's going to be there 1 day a week, Fridays, we think. So they won't have to get all the MPs up, but too many will have to get up there.
Yeah, they'll need to get all that. So, I mean, that'll put the pressure on Manchester House, and it will also probably help Angela Rayner's portfolio for her accommodation. Secondly, this VAT came out with on Tuesday, the moving VAT from heating bills. Is he going to go cap in hand to his mates over in the EU to ask him ever so nicely if they can do it in Northern Ireland? Because they can't.
That's an interesting point. I mean, it doesn't really matter, though. It doesn't really matter, Billy, because he hasn't got it costed.
Oh, yeah.
He can't actually pay for this, but the whole thing is a waste of time anyway, because all it's going to do is save us 86p a week. So a whole 2 extra pints of milk for everyone.
That's why Rishi Sunak didn't remove the VAT in the petrol whenever the fuel went up, because they're going to have to go to the EU, and it will highlight the difference between
that's an interesting point. We don't think about Northern Ireland enough on this side of the sea.
Because we're on the EU.
Yeah, I know you are. Something should be done about that. It's a good point, Billy. Listen, I've got to go, but thank you very much. Good call. Billy in Belfast making a very good point. Let's go to John in Newcastle. Hi, John.
Hello. Just a point of view. I've, for many a decade now, thought about liars. They just don't do what the people want. And they've proved it yet again. We've got a man that's come into power, one after another comes, and the boats are still coming across the water, and there's no way out of it unless we get out of the European Court of Human Rights. We've told this by Farage. It has to be done that way.
Well, Farage will, but Andy Burnham won't.
Of course he won't. Of course he won't. And how is this man here? We've already had.
You tell me, John. No one can quite work that one out either.
Yeah, we've had a manifesto for Labour of which 16 things have been reneged on, and now the same party is in power, is a continuous power, and we don't even know what he's going to come up with. I've never known that. We don't even know what he's going to stand for until it happens.
Wow.
And it's, to me, it's just a disgrace. But I blame the people of this country. Make no mistake on that. It wouldn't happen in other countries like France. It would be hell on the cross there, I would think, if they did what they do here. Because the French will not take people into the hotels. They won't give them 3 square meals a day and 38 pounds.
Yeah, the trouble, they don't have to because they don't want to stay in France. They want to come here.
Well, of course, France is
we're the promised land. We're the promised land, John.
Yes,
but the way you're quite right. The way we treat these people, you know, like visiting dignitaries, free hotels, free money, free food, doctors, dentists, whatever they want, is just absurd. How are you going to stop people coming over when you don't offer them deterrence? You just offer them buckets of enticements. It's mad. It's mad. John, I've got to move on though. Excellent call. Good point, John. In Newcastle. Let's talk to Ian in Bridgend because we did that absurd woke story about Wales earlier. Hi, Ian. Do you think it was a good idea of the Welsh Fire Service to spend money on diversity but not on helicopters to fight fires? I think it was a very bad idea. Where do you stand on that?
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, it just exemplifies devolution doesn't work because they've got their own pet projects, their own ideologies, which they impose on the people. It won't devolve power to the people. They ignore what the people want. It just makes it easier for them to impose their ideologies. All nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that speech. I mean, the Labour government, to be fair, not the current government, you know, getting their knickers in a twist because, as far as they were concerned, there were too many white men in the Welsh Fire Service. So they prioritised diversity, getting rid of all these male, pale and stale firefighters, trying to get women in and all that. They prioritised that. They spent all their money on that, on a review of diversity. But they didn't spend any money on helicopters. And right now, they haven't got any helicopters and blazes are raging. Wildfires are raging through all of Wales and they can't put them out. So my point would be that surely a priority for a fire service should be the ability to put out fires. That should take precedence over diversity, shouldn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But the thing is, Plaid Cymru, they've always been alongside Labour.
Yeah, they'll be just as bad, won't they?
Policies.
Yeah. They're pretty left-wing as well, are they?
Yeah, of course they are. Well, they're even more left-wing, you know.
Oh, my God.
Nation of sanctuary now. That's just on.
Oh, yeah, you're a nation of sanctuary.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great country, Ian. It doesn't deserve these awful governments that you keep getting. Ian, thank you very much for a good call. Have a lovely weekend. Ian in Bridgend there. Peter Cardwell is in the studio. How you doing, Peter?
Hi, Kev. I don't know about you, but I don't care if someone's male, female, gay, straight
exactly what
from
I
this
said.
country. If they can put out fires, preferably quickly, that would be a great thing. Why do we need to go into diversity? It's nonsense. Good story, by the way.
Literally prioritised diversity.
Crazy.
Getting women and people of colour into the fire service over the ability of the fire service to put